My brother nearly murdered me and threatened to gut me alive, yet my mom insists that I owe it to him to let it go. And now, I just discovered, she is trying to sabotage my court case. So this happened a few years ago, but is still a major issue in my family. I, 25F, am the youngest and only girl of my siblings. Me and my mom, 50F, live in a different state and decided to visit home, and my oldest brother, 31M, offered his house to us with his family. The first night there, my mom went out with some old friends, and my brother and his girlfriend, 32F, asked to hang out with me in their home for the night. After their kids, 4 kids between the ages of 9 months and 12, went to bed, we started drinking and talking about random things since this was the first time I'd actually met this girlfriend and spent time with her. While talking, his girlfriend asked about our childhood and what he was like as a kid, and I answered honestly, he was a bad kid. He ran away, he spiked our mom's boyfriend's drinks with bleach, he fought at school almost daily, and was suspended constantly until he dropped out. Something I thought was funny to joke about was apparently not funny to him, and he got angry. Me and his girlfriend laughed it off, we were all very drunk at this point, but I could tell he was getting angrier and angrier. Then he asked me, if I just punched you right now, it wouldn't be funny, would it? Again, drunk me laughed it off, thinking we were just talking about our lives and childhoods. We were not abused or neglected as children, so I truly didn't see this as me laughing at traumatic events or making fun of him. And then, in a split second, he punched me. Over and over. I remember trying to protect myself as I fell and getting back up and throwing anything in front of me as I tried to move out of the way. And then I was back on the floor, mouth bleeding, disoriented, and crawling to the couch for help. The kids ran into the room scared and crying, and his 9-month-old was crying hysterically. He was screaming and yelling at his girlfriend, "It's not funny, it's not funny," as she tried to calm him down. He even saw me on the couch crying and bleeding and threw a cup of alcohol in my face and called me a B-word. And then he said, "I hope you know you're gonna effing die tonight." And I remember running into the kitchen and locking the door, and I heard him searching desperately for a knife in the kitchen drawer. I called my mom as I hysterically cried and told her he was gonna kill me, and she begged me to open a window and run. He began banging on the door, describing how he was going to stab me, gut me as I tried to open the window. And I think I even accepted it at this point, that I was dead, and I was just pondering how it would feel. And then he stopped. I waited and realized my mom had begun breaking down the door to get to me because he was looking for a new knife to kill me with. After this, I went to the hospital, and although I had no broken bones, I was bleeding and my entire face was bruised and cut. I pressed charges against him, and after almost 3 years, he was caught on a separate charge, and now the case is moving forward this month. My mom, in her opinion, has tried to stay neutral, but I think in her way of staying neutral, she has taken his side. She's told me that being beat was a consequence of saying rude things to him and that I've already won because he's been in jail for months and should drop the charges since he's facing other criminal charges. Yesterday, I blew up and cried and told her she was stupid and dumb for ever suggesting that I get over this. And I can't believe she would want to be neutral and not take my side. She hung up the phone and we have not spoken since. Now, I feel like I might be the a-hole because I don't have kids and I don't understand what she might be going through having to choose between us. It's also important to mention my brother has previously been diagnosed with a mental illness and has done violent behavior like breaking windows, stealing, going on car chases from police, and fighting before. So I feel like our family has become immune to his behavior, that me pressing the issue and demanding accountability is making everyone uncomfortable. But I also feel like her seeing what I looked like after he beat me, hearing me describe what it felt like, and how it has damaged me, I've been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety, should automatically make her take my side and support my decision to take this to court. So, am I the a-hole? Now here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "This can't be real. If the cops were called, they would recommend the DA press charges themselves, and the kids would be removed from the home since he is a psychopath." So, in my moment of panic, I did not call the police. I just called my mom for help, and she took me to the hospital. I went to the police the next day, and they basically did nothing until I got a phone call a few months ago that said that he was arrested for something else. The DA did apologize and said he had no idea how this case slipped between the cracks and why it took so long for him to be arrested. The kids are still in the home, and he is still with the girlfriend. Then user 2 commented and said, "I stopped reading after the title. Not the a-hole. If one child is a sociopath who tries to stab people, clearly she should be on the other kid's side." Thank you for responding and for your honesty. Part of why I made the post is because for the last couple of years, multiple family members have told me that expecting my mom to choose a side is irrational and that I should stop pushing this, drop the charges, and handle this as a family. Then, after the argument with my mom, it really started making me question whether I am being irrationally biased and the a-hole for bringing this situation up for so long and making her choose between us. I really thought people here were going to tell me I was letting my emotions blindside me, and I'm the a-hole for yelling at my mom and pushing for her to make a clear stand because I've been hearing it for years now. But hearing the opposite from so many people is actually mind-boggling, and I needed it. Then user 3 said, "Your mother has picked a side and she is wrong. Please proceed with the charges. Those poor kids, and that man should never be around children, not the a-hole." And then finally, user 4 commented and said, "Wow, unbelievable how your mother is reacting. Maybe for your own mental health, you should cut off all contact with your mom too. Your brother literally tried to kill you, and in no world is that okay or forgivable. Continue with the charges because he needs consequences and he needs help. You need to protect yourself too and not have contact with your mom. You should never doubt that you are doing the right thing." Update 3 weeks later. Hi everyone, I wanted to give an update since a lot has happened since my original post, and I felt so conflicted and alone during all of it. For context, a few years ago, my older brother beat me violently during a drunken conversation, to the point that I thought I was going to die. My mother has stated that I shouldn't testify against him, and that I'm the a-hole for making her pick between us when she's supposed to be neutral. As the trial started approaching, my family started pressuring me heavily to back out. My mom told me that I should let this go because my brother has suffered enough by losing his girlfriend, his kids, and facing time in jail for other charges. She says that I'm pushing him too hard and that my testimony will send him to prison, rather than letting him finish his time in jail, even though I didn't ask for jail time. I requested a plea deal that focused on probation, a mental health evaluation, and mandatory medication adherence. I just wanted him to get help, and even that was too much. She also told me that I am contributing to what black men go through, which feels incredibly manipulative, considering how she has never once asked me what I need to heal or how this has affected me. Everything is about my brother, his image, and how to keep him out of prison, not about what I experienced or what helps me feel safe. My brother had someone post on social media about him getting released soon, not happening, and my mother commented and said, "Can't wait for you to be home soon." So a side was clearly chosen here, and it is not mine. And then it got worse. My mom, father, and grandmother have all reached out to me trying to get me to drop the case. My father, mind you, this is my father, not my brother's since we are half siblings, told me, "It's not like your brother SA'd your kids or killed your husband or anything." As if those are the only two scenarios that justify testifying. He said I'm ruining the family and making myself look bad by going forward. Then I find out that my mom gave my father the name of my prosecutor without telling me, and they emailed the prosecutor pretending I had changed my mind about testifying because it wasn't a really big deal. Thankfully, the prosecutor reached out to confirm, and I told him it wasn't true. So the trial was this morning, and my brother decided to plead guilty and ask for time served, and I was not allowed to testify. I felt like it was another thing he stole from me. My mental health, my feelings of safety, the love for my family, and now he took my moment of confrontation. However, he's back in jail because he is still awaiting sentencing for 11 other charges and facing decades in prison. Then I called my mother afterwards and I told her I didn't testify and that I knew she emailed the prosecutor. She denied and said she had nothing to do with it but was happy my father did it nonetheless. She said I sided with the system and contributed to another black man in jail and should be ashamed of myself, and then hung up. I texted her and said I still loved her and I wish that one day we can go back to being best friends again because I miss her, and she hasn't responded. So much for neutral, right? But thank you for all the kind words and everyone who told me that they had been through something similar. My brother has taken so much from me, and I feel alone, defeated, and empty. Part of me is happy that this is over, but the cost of my family is something I never even considered when he attacked me 3 years ago. I don't know how I will pick up the pieces or get through this immense sadness, but I will try. Then in the comments section, OP elaborated on her brother's other charges and if her testimony would have changed anything and said, "Yeah, he has actually about 11 other charges unrelated to me, including having a weapon as a felon. Actually, he never even went to jail for my charges until this year when he was caught on the other charges, and they realized he had a warrant for his arrest for almost 3 years that they did nothing about. I confirmed before court that my testimony wouldn't have any impact on the other charges, and I was told that the other charges were so severe that it was unlikely a judge would even care about what happened today. And even then, that wasn't enough reassurance to my mother. She said it didn't matter that I didn't actually testify, but me wanting to is the same as actually doing it. Then OP elaborates on why her parents aren't being held accountable for lying to the prosecutor and said, "So the prosecutor told me he didn't report my parents specifically for the fact that he felt bad for me, that I was being harassed by so much family, and he didn't want to make it worse by reporting them and giving them another reason to harass me. I'm so thankful he did it because I can barely handle the ostracism as is. I get that people post fake stuff up here, but trust me, this is unfortunately very real. And I would post the photos of my beat-up face if I didn't want to remain anonymous." Then one user commented and said, "While you did not get to testify during his guilty plea, is there any way that you can prepare a victim's impact statement to be read at his sentencing hearing? Even though it's not trial testimony, if allowed, you would be able to express to the court how his actions have affected your life and your health." So they sentenced him at the same time as the plea hearing to time served and allowed me to make a statement then. I was honestly just so shocked and disappointed and trying not to cry that all I could say was, "I hope he gets help, and I'm sad that our relationship has been reduced to this." Then, as for him, he refused to say anything. I just hate that I wasn't prepared to make a statement because I had spent so much time prepping myself to testify. It's part of why I'm having the feelings I'm having. Like, I didn't get to actually get any of those feelings off myself. They're still here. He just keeps taking things from me, and that was one of them. Then user 2 commented and said, "OP, can I ask what makes you keep going back to people who so obviously don't care about you? I don't have parents, so I don't understand it, but what is it that they bring to you that you keep going back for?" Hi there. Me and my mom were extremely close before this. As in, I've had people say to us, "Man, I thought me and my mom were close, but you guys are even closer." We see each other every weekend. We talk 3 times a day at minimum. We were so close. She was the one who actually told me to pursue charges 3 years ago. I think the switch-up happened when she realized he was going to jail for a long time and needed a scapegoat for her feelings, and it was me. Even through all of this, she's called me and came by to apologize and told me she could never choose anyone over me because she couldn't imagine life without me. So it's hard when she tells me how much she needs me and then switches to hating me so quickly. And then finally, OP elaborates on possibly going no contact with her family and said, "So, I do think I have to go low or no contact with everyone because I'm realizing how toxic it is that I have to defend my feelings to my parents almost every time we talk. I'll have a few months off work soon, so I'm going to try to use that to rebuild my life back with just myself and good therapy. I hope to look into some domestic violence shelters soon to find a community of women who understand what I am going through." So, there has been just a recent influx of stories about mothers, specifically mothers refusing to take a side when one child is a murderer or a communist or a League of Legends player. I hate them so much. But the mother in this story is far more delusional than normal, which I didn't even think was possible because apparently OP being beaten multiple times thinking she was going to die and then wanting to see justice served means that she is oppressing black people. What? But to take things more seriously, I do feel very bad for her that she couldn't even testify. Hopefully there is some way that she can speak out or something. Like she said, she's going to therapy, so hopefully she can find something there. And I'm glad she's taking several months to improve her life because, I mean, she lost a brother and it seems like she lost a mother at minimum. So hopefully she can find what she's looking for. But anyway, guys, we are at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching, commenting, have a really good day, and bye-bye!